are we starting this? So we decided to do a podcast together,
Yeah.
and we thought it would be quite cool to have something that is slightly different from your typical marketing podcast, especially in
It's
the
the
UK,
plan.
which feel like they're all a bit similar, like similar guests, similar questions. Just having like a little chat between two friends, talking about what they do on the in their jobs and what we've done, and kind of
Yeah.
commenting on what we're doing. Um,
We should set the scene. Anyone listening just needs to pretend that they are in a pub listening to the conversation next to them of these two really cool guys that they've just spotted.
yeah, that's the plan. That's the plan. And we were just talking about this. I think it would be really cool to also use this platform as also like our marketing testing ground, and like show you a bit like the behind the scene. How do we grow this podcast? Like the things that we're doing to also like further our knowledge that we might take into our jobs, and current jobs, future jobs, etc. But it's a good case study as to just being marketers doing marketing shit. So
Or the
yeah,
the downside is if we fail to grow it, then
then we can officially stop and retire.
then it's a case study of just how hard this stuff is.
Yeah, probably. Should we
Do a
introduce
little
ourselves a
intro.
little bit? Yeah. You go
Yeah.
first. Go on.
Oh
Tell
man, you're
me
more
tell me
used
who
to
you
these
are.
intros.
I've done my intro like about 100 times in the last 5 years. So like people who would know me from other guest appearances, they already know my intro. So like let's start with a fresh voice, a fresh face.
All right. You're like Dr. Nick from The Simpsons. You might know me from other podcasts such as.
Oh man.
Okay, so I'm Jake. We met each other 10 years ago, I think. I was working at the other day. That must be like the 10-year anniversary this year.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
in
10 years.
general, I would imagine nobody listening to this knows who I am. Versus for at least the first few weeks, everybody will know who you are. But yeah, so been in marketing for, I don't know, 15 years, maybe 13 years. Um, we met at Facebook PMD, as they were called back then, Preferred Marketing Developer, or SPMD actually back then, Strategic
Mm,
Preferred Marketing Developer.
yeah.
And we were running ads. I guess that was probably the start of the bulk of my career in digital. I'd fiddled around with some affiliate stuff. I guess when I was Matthew, who we worked with at Glow, shout out Matthew Macmiele at Moo. He got me into the world of marketing by all these scams that are not scams. That sounds not good, but all these little side hustles that he had. This is like 2000, like 3, 4. He was like, oh, I've signed up to like millionairematchmate.com, and they got this
Wow.
thing called an affiliate scheme, and everyone you get to sign up, or affiliate program, sorry, not scheme.
Yeah.
Everyone you get to sign up, you earn $100, and then it would go on like Craigslist, and we'd post the links, and we'd pretend we're like, oh hey, I'm looking for a sugar daddy or sugar mama, and sign up to this link so we can chat. And I was like, oh my god, you can make money doing this stuff. So that was my intro to all
Yeah.
that, I guess. But yeah, so we met at Glow, and since
Yeah.
then, after we left Glow, I went on to be the head of paid social and media analytics at the Net-a-Porter group. After that, I did that for a few years, and onto Motor K, which probably a lot of people haven't heard of, but the big Italian startup lead gen for the automotive industry, which was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
And then on to startups, back into the startup world. Marketplace startups, food delivery startups, Fancy, that got acquired by GoPuff. And then there was Bump in the kind of streetwear space. And then most recently
Mm.
went into freelancing, consulting during the pandemic, and then moved in-house recently to be head of growth at a digital product agency called Hex, based in London. We make products for founders and grow them. So that's me in a nutshell.
So yeah, we met a long time ago now. It's been a while. But I didn't realize that it started even before Glow in like those type of like affiliate stuff, like even before that. Cool. So so I'm Yoann. Um, I started my career in digital after changing careers. I think I was 25. Keep saying I was 25, 26. Actually, I didn't do the math. I don't know. I might have been a bit younger, a bit older. I don't know, but around that time.
That sounds
Because
good.
because I'm with 36 now, so it's 10 years. So um, I and that's how I learned. So we met at that time, and you and a bunch of other people from this Facebook ads agency. Let's just simplify it. Um, Told me that stuff, and it was pretty early on in, I guess, the rise of digital marketing and Facebook ads. Really liked it, and from then jumped into like the more client side startup world. Worked at Deliveroo after that, which was great. Kind of a lucky move, but good move. But I keep saying so. I keep telling that story where I went with Damo, who was the founder at Glow, to pitch Deliveroo. Am I thinking that you were supposed to be in that meeting and I went, I can't remember. There was something like, I don't know if I was supposed to be in that meeting. I vaguely remember something like that because at the time I wasn't the most experienced person at Glow to like do this kind of pitch, but
Potentially. I mean, are you trying to say that I could have had your life?
yeah.
I could have had your success
I,
when you're
I don't
taking
know
that
if it
meeting.
was you or someone else, but yeah, I kind of vaguely remember that I was like dragged into this meeting because it wasn't fairly known at the time, Deliveroo. It was just
Yeah.
kind of starting to be on the map, but wasn't yeah, like the thing that we know now.
Mm.
And then from then did a bit of B2B company called Perkbox, and then I moved into Depop again, like as the head of digital marketing. And then after that, bit of freelancing, started to do a bit of advisory on the side as well, and now I work as a CMO at Nude, which is a fintech savings app in the UK, and it's been almost 2 years that I'm there. So yeah, in a nutshell, but it's it's cool that we kept in touch from all that time, and that we had this discussion last week about, why don't we talk about all that stuff and do a little podcast for some people to listen to it if they want to.
Yeah.
So yeah, it feels like closing the loop a little bit from this like 10 years chunk, and also looking forward to the next 10 years, like, so like, what the fuck are we going to do in marketing for the next 10 years with everything that's happening? So yeah, it feels like a good move, a good moment.
That's the conversation we always have whenever we go for dinner or drinks. It always turns to, we're getting too old. How are we going to stay? How are we going to stay relevant? It's how we
Yeah,
stay relevant, man. Making a podcast 10 years after everyone made a podcast. So it's
yeah, that's yeah, but I think I don't think there's that many though that people know about, at least about growth, about marketing. I don't think there's
What
that
do you
many.
listen to?
Um, they're mostly American. So like the guys like My First Million, the All In podcast as well, with like those like 4 billionaires talking about tech and like being billionaires, which feels very out of reach.
Relevant.
Yeah, very relevant in our lives. And I told you about this one as well. Like these like three guys based in LA, also talking. It's more like business, tech, type of podcast. Not really. It's not really about marketing. Sometimes they talk about marketing, but it's more about business valuation and like quarterly earnings and things like that. But it's called Group Chat. And it's really nice. It's a little bit like this. It's just like three guys talking to each other in a very low key way. So I really like that style. And they're all very, very popular. I don't think there is that many in the UK in that format. So yeah, I guess that's why we're doing it.
Yeah, exactly.
The story behind what you just said, because I didn't mention it, is that I did do a test 2 years ago. Can't believe it's been 2 years already, where I launched let's call it a mini series, but it was a podcast, 10 episodes, and I was interviewing people on my own in their like about their craft. So they could be like marketers, they could be creators or like influencers. There was a couple of entrepreneur, like founder, and it was cool. But being fully like interview led and trying to do it every week was like it became too much very quickly. And I was doing it all by myself as well. So all the edit and all the stuff in the background took a lot of my time, and eventually stopped after 10 episodes. But it was kind of successful already. Like I was getting like 200-300 downloads per episode. I think I checked in total. I got like, because I still get listens sometimes. Like people discover it somehow. About I think it's 2,500 listens in total.
Cool.
Out of 10 episodes.
You didn't really push it, right?
No. But no, it was short. It was just for a couple of months. So I did push it in that period, but then stopped. But I kept getting listens. So it just shows like podcast is it's a very sticky format. When people start listening to you and discover it, then they listen an hour. An episode, if it's an episode, is an hour. They listen to an hour of content. Like it's very impactful when you get people into what you're talking about. But yeah, I always like kick myself for stopping and leaving it for 2 years. So I thought when we met that having something that is a little bit more like less focused on getting guests, more focused on us talking about topics that we want to discuss in a given week, it will be like a lot more feasible. And since there's a lot of things that we can do on automations that we'll probably talk about in future episodes with like AI and stuff like that. So that's what allowing us to do that now, because it's going to be a lot easier.
Yeah, man, an excuse to test out some new tools and tech and all that stuff is going to be pretty fun. And I think it's interesting what you say about the listens, because I guess you could be like, oh, I put a video on TikTok the other day, secret growth channel that I don't think even you know about, and it's got about 1,000. It got about 1,000 views in the first 2 days, and I was like, shit, that's great. So, but then the thing is, on those channels, it's like a minute of content. Because if you can get 2,000 people to listen to you for like 40 minutes, that's time with brand is crazy. So I think that's what makes podcasts so powerful, and building that connection that you can't really do through just short form content.
Yeah, exactly. After a few episodes, I had like people I never met sending me messages saying like they listen to it in the gym or running. It's crazy when you think about it. It's like, yeah, it feels a lot more personal and in depth.
Yeah, being connection. Inside somebody's brain.
Exactly.
Maybe we should chat about those early days of Glow.
Yeah. I think? Let's do that. Yeah, let's talk a little bit about that. Yeah. We've got some time.
I think it was an interesting time. It was. I can't remember how many years after Facebook opened out their ads API that we were there, but it was only 1 or 2 years after that. And we were saying in the pub the other day about all the crazy stuff that you had to do back then. Like, for instance, a really basic one: no business manager. You had to keep a spreadsheet of every single client email address and password to log into their accounts for them.
Yeah.
That shit got so confusing. You couldn't just
Very
build an
quickly.
ad. You'd have to build a post. You have to go in the back end. You get the ID, the sponsored story spec. Back then, you could, maybe some people be listening. They'll be thinking it's crazy that you could build a campaign that just bought likes, just a
Yeah.
like campaign to like your page. And like, who would even care about that now? But back then, that was the number one thing. And I remember one of our clients, into Flora, they would just spend like £10,000 a month just on likes, and the reports would be like 0.01 pence per like. They'd be like, "Oh, amazing! We bought all these likes this month," and then a couple of years go by, and the Facebook are like, "Now you can't get 100% reach on your followers." All that money just completely wasted. Those days were pretty mad.
Yeah, it was mad because when I joined, you were there already for like a couple of years, maybe 1 year, 2 years there.
I think max a year, but I think a bit less than a year.
Yeah. It to me it was like another world because I came from like very corporate engineering. Like I was wearing suits every day to meet with engineers. It was at Ford, so the office outside of London, but the UK Ford office. And coming from that to then suddenly getting like back from scratch and learning something that new was like, yeah, it was like another world. I remember we're using a lot of Excel spreadsheets to upload, like bulk upload for some clients, like some gaming clients. I remember like bulk uploading like hundreds of ads, like row by row, and like if one thing was wrong, you had to like spot where the mistake was, and like you were just doing that like 50 times until you got it right, until Facebook would like sync with your ads and run. But at the same time, like you said, the results, whether it was on like or like an install for an app or something, it was pretty cheap compared to now.
It was mad. I mean, it was like every client that you would get, you knew it would be a success.
Yeah, exactly.
An app client, they want to get whatever, they want to spend £10,000 a month on installs, and you'd be like, you could forecast cost per install of like 20p, 15p. You'd be like, that's without optimization. We're going to push and we're going to get it down from there. If you got that now, it's crazy.
Yeah, no, it's mad. It's mad. I keep trying to go back to that type of cost. I get pretty close, but not that cheap. not that cheap. It was really it was really interesting. Do you know do you know how I got the job when I joined you guys?
No, I don't think so.
I saw it on I saw Laurie, who we used to work with, another French guy, who actually would from another French guy from south of France, like believe it or not, like very close to where I'm from. I saw a post on Facebook, and it was like, we recruiting like entry level account executive or account managers for the agency. We're doing Facebook ads. I was like, what the fuck is that? Never heard of it. But I messaged him because I was in search, like spiritual search for another career, and it was not easy. Like I had to like meet with him, and like I think I had like 3 or 4 interviews. I was like, I had to fight hard to get that job. Like pretend that I knew what I was talking about. I had no idea. But I remember studying every evening for like 2 months in that interview process. Like every night, I was just reading everything I could find on YouTube,
John Loomer
blogs. Yeah, John Loomer. Is he still around? Is he still doing his thing?
I'm
sure.
I think so.
Sure. Yeah, it must be. It must be getting. It's like Neil Patel. They're getting so much traffic. These guys now. They've been doing it for so long. But
OGs.
And that's how I got in. But it was crazy. I remember going to these gaming clients. Remember, it was like Pretty Simple. It was called.
Yeah, that's right.
That's the one I had, and I was going to Paris to meet. That was nice. I was like, okay, I'm getting like a little trip. I kind of know what I'm talking about after 6 months, like I kind of know what I'm doing. But there were like they were already in the gaming space. These guys were killers in Paris. Like they were running like thousands of ads at the same time. Like you said, optimizing to like 10p an install. Like they were making so much money from the in-app, purchases and stuff like that.
Mm.
Yeah, it was pre Candy Crush and that kind of thing. I think that came right after like
Yeah.
those kind of casual games and stuff. I think it was
Was
around
that
that
Criminal
time.
Case?
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, that was the game.
I think that was the crazy thing about that. Not necessarily that time, but Glow, I guess they were the first. If anyone doesn't know, in a PMD or SPMD or FMP now, I think they're called. It's just like a partner that has access to the Facebook Ads API. And back then, it was very difficult to get that. Now it's a bit easier. But Glow were the first, definitely in the UK. I'm not sure about in Europe, but definitely in the UK. And that just meant that the access to clients was insane. Within months of you joining, you're running like £1 million a month or whatever. Maybe not quite that much, but
Yeah,
crazy costs like
close to
that. And
that.
then, we were, considering we had only been doing it, myself included, for a couple of years. It was like running full on running, as in like client management and account management and performance and optimization, everything. Clients we had: Spotify, Apple, Amazon, King, PlaySale, Harrods, Topshop. It's just like effectively every
Everyone.
every brand that you could
Yeah,
name, we were on those accounts. And I think that was the magic thing about Glow, because a lot of people in that cohort that were at that company, which was very small at its peak, it was like 100 people, I think,
mm,
have gone on to do amazing things. Like Laurie, who you mentioned, is now head of e-com at TikTok, and
yeah,
effectively everybody that we work with is doing cool stuff. And it's purely down to just being at that point, being super new to a channel. Back
yeah,
then, if you said that you could go for a job and say that you'd had 6 months experience running ads on Facebook, and you'll get the job instantly, because nobody was doing it, nobody knew how to do it. So
yeah,
it was a great
yeah,
time.
exactly. And yeah, it looks like this. Yeah, it served us well. In the years after that, it was a good start. It was a good start. Maybe we should get some of these guys onto this in the future
Yeah,
if we
yeah,
carry
definitely.
on. So we're gonna try and do it every week. We'll see. Maybe every 2 weeks, but it should be a weekly thing if we want to be serious about it. Um, we we're gonna share as much as we can on like the building of this podcast and like what we're doing to grow it. Like we said at the beginning, like it works as a little experiment for us as well to do a bunch of stuff in the background in terms of like automation, also like growing the audience, maybe building some some level of community between the people listening. We'll see. There's a ton of things we can do with this.
Mm.
Um, and yeah, no, take you on a journey with us, and try have as much fun as we can as we do
Definitely.
it.
You can
Yeah,
you can watch our backgrounds change. You can see from humble beginnings in our little spare rooms to like full on all the
yeah,
all the stuff that comes with the video, for those watching the videos anyway. But I think
yeah,
I would like to be. I'm really interested in, as well as anecdotes and talking to people, also going deep into some of the technical elements of growth. Some of the strategies that we use and the frameworks and process, and going into the weeds with that. So if you're interested in that stuff, then it's definitely our bag.
yeah, yeah. We're recording this on video as well. We should put down YouTube anytime soon, so you can find the channel there. If you're listening on wherever you're listening to this episode, just to give us some power, leave a review, hopefully a 5-star review, and yeah, subscribe to the channel. That'd be great.